Pride. Since '85 we've stood our ground, though trophies passed us by. From Craven Park to Wembley Way, with 𝗲𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗀 grip we fight. Now we rise, our heads held high, proudly wearing the red and white.
The Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre. Make them your first and only choice for a vast array of vehicle services. They are a reputable East Hull-based car specialist and dedicated to providing quality services at reasonable prices. And don't forget, they are trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Find them at 146 Leeds Road and ask them about the exclusive discount they offer Hull KR Rovers Forever members. The players might be enjoying some well-earned rest right now, but there is no break for the Robin Pod as we bring you all the big red and white talking points, which starts with a look back at Rovers' tense but ultimately triumphant victory over Warrington Wolves, a result that sealed the club's first ever League Leaders' Shield. We'll of course be celebrating this season's standout performers who were recognised at the official end of season awards ceremony on Saturday night, and we'll be shining a light on the Robins who've earned their places in the prestigious Super League Dream Team. As always, we'll be diving into your questions during question time, and we'll finish by turning our attention to another massive occasion, a Super League semi-playoff tie that could see the Rovers take one step closer to Old Trafford. So sit back, get ready, and let's discuss all things Hull Kingston Rovers with 𝗲𝗲 Kingston. Welcome back to the Robin Pod, 𝗲𝗲. You're fresh from a holiday. You must have spent a lot of time inside because I don't recognise that tan when you've been to somewhere sun-kissed. Welcome back. Refreshed, ready to go?
Yeah, mate. Much needed break, but thanks for having me back on, Jono. It's just a shame that it's a bit cold here, but when I left the UK and I landed in Gran Canaria, unfortunately we didn't get the result when I seen the scores, but I come home an happy man because we finally got over the line against Warrington. So yeah, all good, mate, all good.
Yeah, and one place it definitely was red hot was East Hull at 10 o'clock on Thursday night. And that was, of course, because the Robins finally got to lift that League Leaders' Shield. Of course, they did it in the time-honoured Hull Kingston Rovers way. They didn't make it easy for us, did they, supporters? They haven't done over the last few games, really, with some of the performances. But it was all about getting the job done. And finally, 𝗲𝗲, Hull Kingston Rovers, League Leaders' Shield winners. A fantastic accolade to have over the course of a season because Hull Kingston Rovers have proved to be the most consistent and best team in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's thoroughly deserved. Like you say, we started the season first 2 or 3 rounds. We didn't quite show the form of 24, but as good teams do, we still managed to get over the line. And as the year progressed, we was outstanding. You know, absolutely unplayable at times. But coming towards the end of the season, slight dip in form. You know, looked a bit fatigued. But again, it won't be Rovers if they didn't make you sweat. Wondering whether we'd get over the line or not. But I was fully confident we would get over the line. Just I'd have liked them to have had it wrapped up 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we could really relax. But I suppose it's part of the game, it's part of the enjoyment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just like the Challenge Cup final, they left us waiting to the very last minute almost, didn't they? And this game against Warrington was no different. Cruising almost 16-6 at half time, and then Warrington hit us back. The lineup for that side saw a welcome return for 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Noah Booth retained his place in the side. Jack Broadbent dropping down to the bench. A very strong lineup, Bazza. And when you looked at the lineup, you know, I was thinking we was going to cruise this game, because you look at what Warrington had served up previously. You look at how injury ravaged their squad was. You just couldn't see a way that Wire would be competitive. And yet there was, and they made the Robins work hard for that victory.
They did, and I dare say it will do us good having that sort of contest going into the playoff spot. On paper, we had more than enough experienced personnel out there to comfortably get the job done, but taking absolutely zero credit away from Warrington. Some of their young lads was absolutely outstanding, and I think it's first time in quite a while, probably since Wembley, I've seen the Warrington players playing where they actually look like they're enjoying the rugby. And that's the danger when you come up against these sides who have got nothing to play for, and they play the young kids. They prove they can be very, very dangerous with nothing to lose. And they had a point to prove to St Burgess, and I think we was on the back of that, because they did play some decent rugby at times, and they really, really made us work for it. As for people questioning our fitness and fatigue, I don't think it's so much a fatigue factor for us. I think we was just mentally drained from all the pressure over the last few weeks, especially from the media. But as for that game, it was in the balance for large parts. We was cruising. Warrington scored a couple of soft tries, which I think, like, not digging on any of our players, but looking back at, like, Noah Both, if he could have his time again, I think he'd have called for that ball, because Pulis' first try was way too soft, as was Sam Stone's. But the boys dug deep and battled back, and they battled back very, very well. We needed some big players to play in them big moments, and Arthur Morgan, Tyrone May really steps up to it, because Tyrone's had a few critics from the Rovers contingency just lately, and for me, unjustified, and it stood up when it counted, just like it did in Wembley. So I think some of the fans need to remember what Tyrone actually brings to our side, because he really did help us get over the line on last Thursday.
Yeah, sometimes you need a player just to come up with them big moments, don't you? And Tyrone May's certainly done that this season. You're right, Warrington had a big point to prove. They've been getting a bit of a roasting from St Burgess and the supporters over there, haven't they? Because of how their season's just tailed off after the Challenge Cup final. And that first 8 minutes, I mean, we saw the Pulis try. We saw 2 40-20s from Danny Walker. I mean, where's that come from? You know, he even had the audacity to celebrate in front of the East stand as he got the second one. You don't normally see that in a game of rugby league. And when that happened, I just thought, here we go. What's going to happen here? Because there's things happening out on that pitch that we don't normally see. And that's when I started to think this game could be anything, because you had no read. What they came out like a house on fire, and we looked a little bit like rabbits caught in the headlights in terms of how we started the game. Thankfully, though, we did get a foothold back in the game, didn't we? Although it took a while for us to get on the scoreboard. We did that with Tyrone May, and that's when we started to ease our way into the game. And I think that relieved a lot of pressure especially in the East stand, because you could feel there was a bit of tension there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Like I say, I was all the way in Gran Canaria, sat in a little bar watching it, and even I felt the tension coming through the screen. You know, that it felt like the stadium was deadly silent, and you know, quite rightly so. There was a lot of nerves there, and the way Warrington was playing, like you've just said, anything could happen. And I felt like the quieter the stadium was, the more Warrington built on that, because they'd quietened the fans down. So for the boys to dig deep and give the crowd something to cheer about, I think that kind of helped getting us over the line, because it just absolutely erupted when Arta went over. But no, for me, we'll be a lot better for a game like that. You know, it was a tough game. It was to and fro. There was no in it at times. So for us to come on the right side of that result, again, with the pressure on it, with the league leaders, and I think people were celebrating the lifting of the league leaders before the ball was kicked. So it'll give the players something to think about, but it also gives me as a fan confidence that, yet again, as with Wembley, we can get over the line in them tight games. You know, nothing's won until the full-time outer, and yet again against Warrington, that proved that. And I think over the last couple of years, Warrington have given us a good game. No matter what personnel they put out, they always give us a really, really good game.
Yeah, they have proved to be difficult opposition over the last few years. Noah Booth, he comes up with 2 tries. A player you mentioned about his defensive effort for the first Warrington try. I do think that's probably just where he needs a bit more work on the defensive side. We know he can score tries. He's a fantastic finisher. and he's got such a physical presence. You know, we've seen that since he's come into the side, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player. He's already been a good player for us this season, playing minutes that we maybe wouldn't have expected. I mean, if you look back at the start of the season when he played for Hunslet, I think he scored his first 5 tries or something like all 80-meter breakaway interceptions, and he's certainly carried that form into his time playing for the Robins. It just seems to get caught out a little bit though sometimes, and his positional play is left a little bit wanting, but he's young enough and he's got the opportunity to have a full pre-season with the Robins. So he's an exciting prospect for me. And I think he got man of the match he got the club man of the match on Thursday night. So it shows you what other people think of him right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet again, like I've just said, when he looks back at it, he'd want his time at that again, because it was just a poor read, and you could tell the inexperience, and you could argue, did Ollie Gildart like kind of leave him out on his own and like not try and help him out? But again, he's just come back from a long-term injury, so we're expecting Ollie to be a bit rusty, which he has been. So I don't think our left edge was slightly weaker and with the inexperience of Noah. But again, where we were slightly weaker on that left edge, 2 of our tries come from down there from Noah himself. So he certainly made up for his mistakes, that's for sure. But again, it's a learning curve. He's a young man. I think he's only, 18, 19. So like Willie Peters keeps alluding to, once he has that first pre-season with us, we'll see a completely different player. And that's the exciting thing, you know. He's a young lad. He's scoring tries for fun. And you just think if he just tweaks his defence, he's going to be one hell of a winger. And we've got him tied down for quite a while. So it's all positive. It's one of them, innit? It happens. He's human. Everyone makes mistakes. So you can't just pick on him because, like, one of the tries, what went in on his edge, like I just have alluded to, he would want his time again because it was a bit soft. But it's all a learning curve. And thankfully, it didn't cost us overall.
Yeah, there's plenty more to come from him, and I, for one, can't wait to see how his career progresses with the Red and Whites. The fact he scored on the 39th minute, we're going at half-time, 16-6. We've seen Wire put up a bit of a fight and sort of bring the game to us. We've weathered the storm. I'm thinking at half-time, you know, plain sailing now, 40 minutes to see out the regular season, lift the league leaders shield, nothing daft. And we nearly had that, didn't we? Because Matt Artemog, he got pulled for a double movement on, I think, 45 minutes, which if that try goes in, I think the floodgates probably would have opened. But then the game got a bit scrappy, a bit patchy. It became a bit of a middles battle, which I didn't think we necessarily needed to get into when you consider the players that Warrington were putting out. It wasn't their strongest lineup, but they were certainly matching our forwards. And then, of course, I mean, 11 minutes where it starts with Sam Stone collecting that grubber kick. We see the crash ball to Holroyd. He goes in. And then we see the offload from Duffy to Fulis. And in 11 minutes, they scored 3 tries without anything from the Robins. And then all of a sudden, all that feeling of calmness and you know, has gone. And we're hanging on thinking, well, if Warrington score again, that could be the game. And then that is just typical Rovers. The Rovers way is just your head's just toiling all the time because you genuinely don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. That 11, 12 minute stint in the second half, I just remember sat there like being shell shocked with my head in my hands thinking, what are we doing? What's happened? I wasn't screaming saying, oh, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. I was just more in disbelief. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But yet again, credit to Warrington, they threw everything at us. And at times we did not have an answer. But this is where I go back to a game like that would have done us the world of good, because we managed to get back into the game when Rovers of old would have folded and just give it up. But our boys never did give it up. And as far as I'm concerned, you can only play what's in front of you, and that, I think that's what made the Warrington side so dangerous, is a lot of the unknown in their young kids. So for us to find a way back is absolute testament. And yeah, it did take some moments of magic from Tyrone and Artemog, but we've got a fair bit of work to do if we had to progress to Old Trafford, because if we play like that against any of the top 6 sides, I dare say it won't be too pretty for us. But again, we're over the line, mate. My only concern is we've been absolutely outstanding throughout the season, and one thing we've prided ourselves on is our defence. Now we've leaked a few points in the last few weeks, which is a little bit of a concern right now because we was on course to do the record with fewest points conceded. So we've, like I said, we've managed to get over the line. I think we do need to go back to the drawing board a little bit, tighten up our defence. I think I'm not worried about our attack. It's our defence, but I think the thing is now with all Kingston Rovers, we're not the hunter, we're the hunted, and it's how we deal with that right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and do you know what? In my opinion, that'll be Willie Peters' main concern is the ease at which we shipped three tries in such a short space of time. You know, games earlier on in the season at the midpoint at 16-6, we'd have pretty much shut up shop, and we could have seen the game out, you know, previously, and it had become a bit of a ball fest in terms of, yeah, the attacking play would have been limited, but would have seen the game out. And it's just that's why I think it's so important that they've got a decent amount of time now to go back to the basics, to go, you know, work on them partnerships. You mentioned Ollie Gildart. He still looks a bit rusty. He needs to get up to speed quickly because semi-final rugby, there is no hiding place. If you're not at it, someone's going to take it, and that's it. The game's gone. So I do think that the players now, I don't know if it was a bit of stage fright, but I think they were just desperate to get that league leader shield done. And I think you saw that in the performances. There was tense. They want playing the free-flowing rugby that we've become accustomed to, and they've come away from a lot of things that they've been absolutely exceptional at. And I think now, I reckon it's just, you know, big, deep breath. They've got the league leader shield. That's put to bed, and it's fully focused on the playoffs. And I think we are going to see our best rugby league still to come. But the players are going to have to get up to speed. And I've got every faith that they will, because every time there's been any doubt, there's been any criticism, they've responded. And not only have they responded, they've come back harder, faster, you know. So, yeah, look, it's an important break, but it's maybe just that kick up the backside that they might have needed.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And going into the playoffs, not one bit am I worried, because this break, it's not only great for the players, it's great for the coaching staff, especially from a mental point of view, just to get away from the stadium for a bit, get away from rugby. And like you say, just take a breath, come back refreshed. Willie Peters did say he's going to have them in for training, but not full training sessions, and they're still going to have time off with the families. And I think if they get that balance right, I think it'll be spot on. But going back to the Warrington game, I thought it was a great opportunity to put some more minutes into Bill Leyland. I was surprised with Broadbent going on the bench, and again, you can correct me, but I don't remember Broadbent coming on unless it come on near the end. So I don't know. I don't know why we didn't have the likes of Bill Leyland, even Kalepi Tanganoa, who can make a huge difference. But people seem to forget that the personnel we was missing, and we have been missing. So if we get them bodies back, we are potentially going to have our best 17 out on the field. Now, if our best 17 is on that field in them semis, and if we make OT, we're a match for anyone. But it's this break what's coming up. It's vital for us. I think we need it more than anyone else. Currently, I don't think Wigan need it because they're on a roll, whereas us, you can see we need it. I don't think it's so much from a tiredness point of view. I think it's more of a mental point of view, because they've been under so much pressure of just getting over the line and the outside noise of how we're going to bottle it and whatnot. So, end of the day, for me, they've got over the line. They can relax mentally, physically, and I'm more than confident that we'll be right in the semi-final who we play. It won't be easy, but I know we'll get 110% out of the boys.
Yeah, and I tell you what, while you've got players like Artem Morgan on the pitch, you've got every chance of coming away with a victory, haven't we? I call him the artist. I just think he's exceptional. You know, he just comes up with some magic plays. Even the the try against Warrington where he sidesteps, shimmies through, and then he just glides all the way to the try. It looks like he's about to get caught as well. but he just has the presence of mind just to shift his run to the side so that the Warrington player can't get hold of him. And Craven Park absolutely erupted at that point, because not only was it a special try, it was an important time of the game, you know. And then I think that helped the players. I think it just took a little bit of pressure off them, and then we saw Tyrone May dance his way through. He released himself just like he did in the Challenge Cup final. This time, instead of putting the kick in, he was able to dance his way over the try line, and then that's when it really was party time, because you know, I think Warrington had a chance just towards right at the end. I think that's when people really thought, this is it. It's time to celebrate, and it was like a balloon popping. Just the anxiety is rushed out of everybody, you know, and it really was party time.
Well, as much as we've spoke about Arthur Morg and Tyrone May for their brilliance, I think there was another couple of key points in that game which really turned the game, and that was Jesse's 40-20 in the second half, which has allowed us to get a repeat set on their half and apply more pressure. But not only that, we forced a goal line dropout, which Warrington then got the ball back, but Mikey had the presence of mind to
ball steal,
that ball steal. And on the back of that, it was when Tyrone May went in. So it's little details like that what seem to go amiss, and you know that's what you need. And for anyone who says like Mikey goes missing in big games, I don't care what you say. That Warrington game was a big game, and Mikey stood up when he needed to and made important plays in that game. And had he not have done that ball steal, who knows what could happen? Because I think at that point we was only 2 points ahead. So from that, and then for Tyrone May to go in, and then we ended up with that 8-point cushion. That's when everybody could breathe. And for me, that was all down to Mikey with a ball steal, because Warrington worked hard to get the ball back from that dropout. But Mikey, again, he had the presence of mind to steal the ball, and again the rest history. So yeah, big shout outs for Mikey for that.
Yeah, and they're the one percenters that the coaching staff going about. You know, they're the things that change the tide of games, the 40-20s, you know, ball steals. They're the bits that then, you know, add up to Tyrone May being able to score that try, coming up with, you know, as the players. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic scenes at the end of the game, Bazza, when we saw the players out on the pitch, the families, the kids. Neil Hudgell was out there. The presentation for the League Leaders Shield, I thought it was done right. That it was you know, a real great opportunity to celebrate. But I do think that the way they did it was absolutely fantastic, and just seeing the relief in the players' faces and the joy in the stands, you know, that is what the League Leaders Shield means to people. So I'm sick of hearing other people down talk it. It meant, I don't care what they think, it meant a lot to us. It meant a lot to the club. It means a lot to people like Neil Hudgell, who have invested so much of their time and money into the club for moments like this, to give back to the supporters. So yeah, it was an emotional time. It was, you know, to see it, because we've never seen it. You know, we've never ever seen that at Craven Park.
No, mate, absolutely bob on. And again, my only regret is that I wasn't there for that, because I was on holiday. I think I need to look at the timing when I booked my holiday. But even through the screen, the emotion, and you had the sense of a huge weight being lifted from not only the players but every member of the staff there, even Neil Hudgell. Like, it just meant so much to him, and you're getting rival fans trying to dilute it, saying it don't mean nothing. But the irony is, a Wigan or a Saints fan, they're trying to dilute it, but they don't want to dilute it when they're winning the double or the treble or the quadruple, you know. So it obviously counts for something. And as far as I'm concerned, mate, it's a title. We're the most consistent side over 27 rounds.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bazza, if you ask a Wigan fan whether they won the double and the League Leaders Shield, or whether they just say they won the treble, they say they won the treble. So that's where it starts and stops for me.
Yeah, and that's my point, mate. It's huge, and it's huge for OKR, mate, but it's huge for the city as well. You know, we've brought success to Hull, and you know, our trophy cabinet is no longer empty. We've got 2 massive pieces of silverware. I'd have ripped your arms off just for one bit of silverware this year, but to come away with 2 and potentially 3, mate, it's absolute dreamland. absolute dreamland, and anybody wants to play it down. End of the day, we've done the double. That's that. We've won the league leaders. It's a title, you know. So that's it, mate. As far as I'm concerned, I'm happy as a KR fan, but not just myself, but for the older generation of KR fans as well, who've been yearning to see that, and the owners, the investors, the families of the players who are coming towards the end of the career, who thought, you know, potentially that was done. So for us to walk away with 2 bits of silverware this year, mate, is phenomenal. I don't know if you've caught up on Paul Lakin's podcast with Jenna Brooks, but I love what he said about Mickey McAlorum. He's not come here to win a trophy; he's come here to win 3 trophies, and that's the mentality of our place right now. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and it is worth listening to. It's a really good listen. I think Lakin, he did an interview with him about a year ago, and he's followed up with another interview. Really interesting insight, especially around potential recruitment for 2026. He did say about Mickey McAlorum and 𝗬𝗂𝗏 that they were brought in specifically to play a role in lifting silverware. And they've done that. He said next year they might not go down that route in terms of bringing experience, because they feel that players like Elliot Minchella, Jez Litton, James Batchelor will have learned from Mickey McAlorum and 𝗬𝗂𝗏 about setting standards, how to behave. So, you know, it's been absolutely fantastic so far, their contribution, because you can see how they've changed that dressing room. I don't think the dressing room needed changing hugely. It just needed sprinkling with a little bit of magic, a little bit of grit, a little bit of leadership,
a bit of steeliness mentally. That's all it needed. A bit of steeliness mentally, and we've got that, and it's got us over the line.
Yeah, absolute master stroke, and great planning by the Robins, because they followed up Thursday night's League Leaders Shield triumph with the end of season award ceremony at the Connection Arena in Hull on Saturday night. An absolutely fantastic occasion. Over 1,600 people in attendance. I've said it on social media. I don't think enough's been made of the fact that so many people are able to attend such an event. I can't think of another sport, another club in this country, in Europe, in the world that has an event on this scale, where they're able to recognise the players. Of course, the women's side, the netball side, were all recognised as well. And that's when we talk about community, and that is community, because there's no barriers. It's not just about the people who can afford to go, the sponsors who do an amazing job putting so much money in. Of course, they deserve their place at the table because they do so much, but even £5 tickets. So you literally, anyone could go, any supporter could go, from the rich to the poor, you know, and that's, for me, community. And I think that's where the club need a huge amount of credit for delivering such an amazing event, let alone the fact it was great entertainment. We got to celebrate the players who won the trophies and the medals. It was just a good night, and I'm looking forward to next season's, because it is becoming a regular fixture on the calendar now, and it's an event that if you haven't been before, make sure you're at the next one, because it's great.
Yeah, it's incredible what we're doing, and I think you're right there. I don't think there's another sport that does it, but it kind of replicates East Hull working class community, and that's what they do it for. That's what we're about, and it's not about them and us. It's about the togetherness of every member of staff, from them to the supporters, being connected, and to invite them to such. For me, it's a prestigious night. And again, there ain't nobody else who's doing it. We've done it for a few years now, so it's not like we're doing it because we're finally winning silverware. We've done it for a few years, and been very, very inclusive with the fans coming down, and it's nice for individuals, you know, to get dressed up and go enjoy an evening, brushing shoulders with the stars, because to a lot of Hull KR fans, they are stars, and then you getting to meet the likes of like Jenna Brooks and the lad from Corrie, who I didn't even know was a Rovers fan, and then you got John Wilkin there. So these are Sky presenters and a Coronation Street actor. So it shows how far we've come, and yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
and it's a proper setup.
Anyone who was there, Bazza,
We've gone a bit jittery, John.
yeah. I tell you what, Baz, anyone who was there, I watched it on YouTube will know that John Wilkins did sail a bit close to the bone at times. I thought Adley was. Yeah, anyone who was there, Baz, on Saturday night will know that John Wilkins, he did sail a bit close to the wind at times with some of his comments. I think at one point Dean Adley was gonna smack him when he compared him to Right Said Fred. If you saw the look he gave him, but you know what? It was good entertainment, and he got in amongst the crowd, and yeah, it was just a great night. And yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to the next one. We talk about the trophy winners. You mentioned Bill Leyland, Bazza, maybe not getting game time against Warrington. Well, he's come up with a Young Player of the Year award. He's probably played a lot more rugby league than he thought he would. Of course, he came to us on the back of a serious ACL injury, so he had a lot of recovery to make. But when he's come into the side, he's looked the part, hasn't he? And he talks so fondly about his time in Hull and how he's enjoyed coming up from London. And he's another player who's got a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, and it's quite well deserved. I mean, for the Young Player of the Year to go to Bill Leyland when he was coming up against the likes of Doro and Noah Both, I think he did well to get the award, in my opinion. The way he spoke of coming to Hull, it's always a touchy one because Southerners don't quite like it up north, but he's really settled in and he's settled into the way of life up in Hull. Yeah, he's a great prospect for the future, especially if he keeps developing. I mean, we've seen Ches Litton over the best part of 6 years develop to what he is right now, so he's going to have one of the best nans in the comp guarding him. So if he's willing to learn and work hard, I don't see no reason why he can't be another outstanding nan like Ches Litton.
Yeah, if we go on to the members player, of course, this one was voted for by all the Hull Kingston Rovers members, so it's a big one because this is the fans, this is the supporters, this is their opportunity to recognise the player who they think has been the best over the course of the season. And Ches Litton came away with that one, and it's hard to argue with, isn't it? Because he has been a standout performer, and he's grown and grown and grown into his role. He's taken advantage of the fact that Mickey McIlaurin's obviously been injured for big chunks of the season, and he hasn't looked like a filling player. He's looked like he's made that position his own now. Yeah,
he's grown into a true leader, hasn't he? And when the cards are stacked against you, he's stood up and led the team round, and it's quite deserving that he gets that award from the fans, because the fans are recognising what he actually does for us in the middle. And I think I said it on the other podcast, and it goes back to things like the Challenge Cup quarter final against that lot, you know, where he drops into the halves and steered us around. He's just phenomenal guy. He's so tough as well now in tackling. I think for me, he's the perfect all-rounder. Number 9, he's got the tough defence. He's got a great short kicking game, and he can knock a 40-20 when he needs to. And yeah, he's got really good eyes up rugby. He knows when to pass. He knows when to go. He's the perfect all-rounder, and for the fans to recognise that's testament to the fans as well, because Mikey Lewis would be an easy option for the fans to pick, but they recognise the hard work of Ches Litton, especially how he's developed over the last 2 years. It's quite deserving, in my opinion. And the only thing that's surprised me, he's not even been mentioned for Man of Steel, which is crazy.
Yeah, and he got further recognition, of course. I mean, the big prize tonight is the Roger Millwood Trophy. Pet Hiku, he was third place. Dean Hadley second place. I mean, two players who had fantastic seasons. Pet Hiku, I mean, he's probably one of the nicest men in rugby league. He just seems to play with a smile on his face all the time. He's probably not got as many plaudits from people just because he plays at such a high, consistent level. He's never one who lets you down. If you look at how many carries he's made this season, there's only Tom Davis who's made more. There's only Tom Davis who's made more meters. And sometimes we look at Hiku as being that centre who can pass it on and come up with them big moments. Actually, he's getting through a lot of graft, and I think that's why he probably got us the recognition he did in terms of being third place for the Roger Millwood Trophy.
Yeah, and it's testament to Peter Rico as well. what he's done, not just this season, but over the last 2 seasons. And not only that, he got rewarded for the dream team. And it's no accident that there's ภิꞌiríkł, Dean Hadley, and Jez Litton all in the dream team, and there was the top 3 for that Roger Millward award. So it's about right for me. ภิꞌiríkł, again, he's got dancing hips, and he can really throw a defender off. And his offload game is phenomenal. And a lot of that does go under the radar. But again, like you've just said, our right edge now is so tough with the carries out of back play, but the defence is solid as well. He's a great player, and it's just a shame that he's coming into the twilight years of his career, because I'd love him at Rovers for at least another 5 years, because he's that good.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's enjoying his rugby league right now. And another player, of course, is Dean Hadley, who's mentioned he's been named in the Super League Dream Team. Fantastic recognition for a really great season. Just another one who consistently performs at the best of his ability. He's a fan favourite with the players, with the fans. You know, nobody has a bad word to say about him. Going to be interesting come the Ashes to see whether he's included in Shaun Wane's squad. But he's done everything he can to be included. And again, he's another player where you can't imagine a Rovers team without him.
No, he's Mr. Reliable, isn't he? And that is Dino. Since he's got over his injuries a few years ago, he's just been ever present, and he's been so consistent with his performances. Well, I say consistent, he's actually got better over the years, but he's got better at a level where he never seems to dip in form. Would he get picked for the Ashes? I don't think he's fashionable enough for Shaun Wane, which is very unfortunate, because if you go on work ethic, I don't think you get a better grafter than Dean Hadley. It's thoroughly deserved, mate. He goes about his business quietly, and I love his versatility, because throughout a game he'll start in second row, then he'll do a stint at prop, and at back end of the game you might see him drop into loose forward. And that's the testament to him as a proper squad player, where he'll put his hand up and play anywhere for the team. So yeah, I love Dino, and I can't imagine a side without him, because he's that reliable for us. You know, you can always rely on Dino.
Yeah, I tell you what, and an award that probably means, for people involved in team sports, this is probably an award that means the most to them, and that's the players' player. Obviously, this is voted on by the players. The top 3, Mikey Lewis was third, Jez Litton second, Tom Davis named players' player of the season. I'll be honest, I didn't see that one coming. I thought maybe Dino would have been the man who collects that. It just shows, you know, the impact Tom Davis has had. You know, he's our top meter maker. He's made the most carries. I think he's our second or third top try scorer. Everyone wondered how would replace Ryan Hall. Well, that's how we replaced him. And that's no slight on Ryan Hall. But Tom Davis has just come in and done an absolutely fantastic job for the Robins. Mr. Dependable, Mr. Reliable. Give him the ball, he'll make your meters. Give him the ball out wide, he'll score your tries. And he's an absolute dream. And you can tell how popular he is amongst the players as well. You know, and actually, you know, when you start looking at it, actually he's really deserving of that award. And I can understand why the players have voted for him.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that as well. But when you look into the detail, like what the players say about him, how he's pretty much the clown of the dressing room, always having a laugh, getting the boys smiling and whatnot. But it's not only that; it's the chemistry he's got with the boys, his work ethic, like you've just said, his yardage coming out of backfield, and I think that pretty much sums Tom Davis up in the Challenge Cup final, because 9 times out of 10 a winger won't even try and challenge that ball, but he had the frame of mind to never give up and jump over ภิꞌiríkł to put that ball down. So that pretty much just sums Tom Davis up, of his never give up attitude and graft hard. So yeah, 100% deserving. And he's another one, you know, he's come from a very good Wigan side, lived a really nice life in the south of France, and then come over to East Hull. And to be honest with you, you'd think he was an East Hull lad. He absolutely loves it. A lot like Sam Luckley. He's very much part of the furniture, and he's made a massive impression and a massive impact in his first year of rugby with us. So again, he's another one. I think his best years are in front of him for us.
Yeah, do you think he's hard done by not being included in the dream team? Two wingers, of course, Lewis Martin from that lot and Liam Marshall.
Well, I've got no argument with Lewis Martin. He's deservedly there with what he's done for that lot. Liam Marshall, for me, he's had an up and down season. I think Liam Marshall is only coming to his own over the last 5 or 6 rounds. Tom Davies has been consistent throughout, and I think Tom Davies has made more meters. I think he's got more assists and scored a couple more tries than Liam Marshall. So that was a big surprise for me. If out of the dream team, that was the one I did really expect to be in there. To be honest with you, I didn't expect Liam Marshall to be in there.
Yeah, and then of course we saw 𝗫𝗓𝗡𝗏 named at fullback in the dream team. He is up against Mikey Lewis and Jake Connor for the Man of Steel award. I mean, they're your 3 contenders. Most people outside of East Hull are saying that Mikey Lewis has got no chance of winning it. Everyone's looking at Jake Connor as being the standout candidate to lift the Man of Steel award. Of course, 𝗫𝗓𝗡𝗏, we know what he can do. It's going to be interesting to see who does win it. I mean, Mikey Lewis, he's finished up as Rovers' top try scorer. He's came up with the most assists for the Robins. And his performances have matured this season. I think he's been leading that side around. And I think the good thing for me is, and what I see is that it's professionals who are voting for it. So it's a panel of people who award points. And I hope he gets recognised for the way he's matured this season. If that's enough to get him ahead of Jake Connor, I don't know, because there's no doubt he has had a good season for Leeds and he's come up with some magic plays. But for me, Mikey Lewis, Man of Steel, 2nd year in a row, that's who I'd be awarding it to.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'd be over the moon for Mikey to get it. It went quiet after, I think it was 16 rounds, where you weren't allowed to see the table. And at that point, Jake Connor was walking it. But people are saying Jake Connor's a showing for it. I actually don't think he is. I wouldn't be surprised if 𝗫𝗓𝗡𝗏 gets it, because a lot of them Wigan games without Bevan French, if 𝗫𝗓𝗡𝗏 wanted that team, Wigan won't winning. So I think out of the 3, I think 𝗫𝗓𝗡𝗏 would probably be the one who'll probably get it. But again, if Mikey got it, there'd be no arguments from me. I think the only thing going against Mikey, he's only played 24 rounds. So it depends how many points he's dropped. I know he picked up an injury, didn't he? That shoulder injury against Castleford. So he'd have lost points there potentially. I'd be chuffed to bits if Mikey got it. Can I see it? Potentially not. One name I am surprised isn't in there was Lachlan Lamb, because he's had a stellar season, and had Lachlan Lamb not been in that Leeds team, Lee would not have finished 3rd place. So it was one I was surprised wanting the
41 assists. I mean, he's top of Super League for assists, and not just top. He's clearly top. 41, and of course he was rumoured to be coming to the Robins prior to Tyrone May then deciding that he was going to stick with us and getting the new deal. Like another player who's had a great season. But yeah, the winner's going to be announced on Tuesday, the 7th of October, which is just a few days prior to the Super League Grand Final at Old Trafford. Of course, we're hoping that the Robins are going to be there, but before they do get there, they're going to have to play a home semi-final tie. The playoffs start this weekend. Bazza, who are you expecting to see the Robins come up against?
I don't think there's no easy game, mate. Obviously, if Wakefield do the unthinkable and turn Lee over, then it's an home tie against Wakefield, which I would fancy as against Wakefield, because I think it'd be a game too far for them. But I'm expecting we end up with Leeds at home, because they have been decent. They haven't got the best record against St Helens. But I think going into the playoffs, I think you could see them turning over St Helens. So I won't be surprised if we ended up with Leeds at home, personally.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it out the 4 now, if I had to pick one of them teams to face, it'd probably be St Helens. I just don't see, I don't think it's been a great season for them.
No.
And the team that's more predictable than the other 3, whereas Wakefield, Leeds, they've got something about them where you don't quite know what they're going to bring, whereas Saints look pretty ordinary. But hey, playoff rugby's a different beast, isn't it? And we saw just like we saw at the back end of the season for the Robins as we went for the League Leaders Shield. You don't know what's going to happen until it's happened, and that's the beauty of playoff rugby league. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. I'm predicting Lee will beat Wakefield and Leeds will beat St Helens.
So we'll end up with Leeds then, won't we?
Yeah, which again, after the performances we're putting against them this season, will of course cause great anxiety in East Hull once again. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Before we round up, Bazza, we've got question time. We've got people firing questions to us. As always, it's always an interesting read to see what people are posing with us. Kerry, my mum actually, my mum's sent a question. Said, do you think this Roger Millwood's, this Willie Peters side is on par or better than the Roger Millwood side of the 80s? Which is a question which keeps popping up, isn't it, Bazza?
Yeah, and thankfully, me and yourself were too young to answer that. But again, the game now is a totally different game to what it was back then. I think the game now is a lot faster, a lot more physical. Back then, you had a bit of biff. I think it was winter rugby back then as well. But team of the 80s, I don't know. There was a successful side, weren't they? They had league titles, they had the Yorkshire Cup, they had the Challenge Cup. I'd say on the base of it, I'd say this was the better side purely because I just feel like the comp's a lot harder to win, and there's that many good teams. But again, I want around then, So I'm gonna go with Willie Peters' side.
For anyone who's listening or watching, if that question comes in again, I'm going to pause it and answer it after Old Trafford, whatever happens. So we'll see, because it's a big one, isn't it? That all-conquering side of the 80s, different times, different conditions of players. Yeah, there's lots of variables there. Tom Noble on Facebook, he says, who would you prefer in the semi and why? I think Saints, because although they are good defensively, their attack is not great. I think it's great past Wakey as long as we don't give them a head start on current form. I can't see he's beating Leeds. I think we've just said about who would prefer. I think we know who we'd prefer, but whether that happens or not, let's see what happens. James Perlin, of course, Robin Pod regular. He says, Bazza, would you play an 80% fit Mickey McAlorum in the playoffs, or would you play Jez Litton for 80 minutes? Because we saw in the Challenge Cup final, Mickey Mackey lining up, nowhere near being fit.
Truthfully, I'd play an 80% fit Mickey Mack, and that's on the basis it never really goes over 20 minutes. So if we can get 10-15 minutes out of him, battering the opposition, roughing him up a little bit, and then Jez can capitalise on that, I think that'd be a lot better for us over the 80 because it preserves Jez Litton's energy instead of benning him out doing a full 80. But yeah, I think I'd play Mickey Mack. My only concern with Jez Litton is half a point from a suspension. So the less I could play Jez, it'd be better for me. You know what I mean? If we can make O2.
Yeah, and we know it's been recently announced that Mickey Mack is heading back to Catalan. He's going to take up the assistant coaching role with Joel Tompkins. So this is pretty much his last chance at playing rugby league. So whether he's patched up, what condition he's in, I do think if there's 75%, if he's 75% fit, I'd expect to see him playing because I just think they're going to go back to the game plan at the start of the season, which was heavily reliant on Mickey Mack doing that opening 20-minute stint. So yeah, it'll be let's see what happens over the next week or so. How does Willie pick who plays, as in regards Jadwar Hargreaves risk call up for playoffs or grand final? I think he said it before. That's from Heather Lamb. He just plays the strongest team, doesn't he? I don't think he worries about the points.
No, he'll just play what's available, and who's pretty much fit, who he knows who can get over the line. And if there's any injuries or suspensions, he'll deal with that the following week. So yeah, I think he'll throw everything at that semi-final. Well,
you can't have anything left over, can you? Because if it doesn't work and you don't get there, it'll always be that big what if.
Yeah.
Adam Wadfuff, he's on Facebook. He asked, now I'm not the biggest Tyrone May fan, but was that his best performance with them 2 out of nothing tries, which ended up winning us that game against Warrington? big moments, like we said, didn't we, at the start of the Robin Pod?
Yeah, and I think that's a difficult question to answer, because Tyrone Mace tends to go under the radar and then pops up with these wonder plays, and it's not the first time he's done that. Challenge Cup final, had he not slotted that ball through with a pinpoint kick, we're not winning the Challenge Cup. So it's difficult, because one thing Tyrone is one hell of a defender. Off the cuff, and I think Tyrone's just been noticed in that game because of the magnitude of it, the nerves around it, and what it meant to Rovers. So with Tyrone getting them 2 tries, and very, very good tries, I think that's why people may potentially be answering that question, because it was very, very good, and then two off the cuff tries really stood out. But I think Tyrone has been fairly consistent for us throughout 2 years.
Yeah, Julie Rodman, sticking with Tyrone May, she says, any reason why Tyrone May took his medal off just after being presented with it? Of course, at the league leaders. What's your view? Was disrespectful, not bothered, or modest? I think he's a cool character, and I genuinely think, my opinion is that their eyes are on the grand final. So as good as it is, as nice it is, they don't want to celebrate too much, because for them the ultimate goal is the grand final.
Well, we've seen it when he gets a man of the match after a game. He'll do his little interview at full time and straight away taking his medal off, walking off. So maybe it's just not his thing to walk around with a medal around his neck. You know what I mean? I won't read so much into that at all.
Yeah, David Elliston, he says, will the week off work for Rovers to freshen up in attack and defence ahead of the semi-final? We mentioned that earlier on in the Robin Pod. We think it's a great chance for them to recharge and refocus. Ian Dixon, was that the worst trophy presentation ever? Left in the dark in the East End. I must admit, I don't think the plan to keep the lights off for so long, because when they was doing the interviews on the pitch and they were still in the dark, I was thinking, I don't think this is... Well, maybe it was, and then eventually the lights did come on. It was a great spectacle.
It was a great spectacle, and again, unfortunately, I wasn't there, but me watching on the big screen on holiday, it looked phenomenal, with the board lit up and whatnot. And I think they created a bit of a concert atmosphere, you know, with the lights on your phone and whatnot, very much like Coldplay. So no, I thought it was all right. There's been worse ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. Do you know what? I think it was just the right level of celebration, adulation, before heading into a playoff campaign. So I think it was just right. And the last question, Pato on Instagram, he says, assuming the deal for Jack Charles gets over the line, what does he give us that Danny Richardson doesn't? Of course, we now know that Jack Charles has been released from the Black and Whites. It was heavily rumoured that would sign him during the course of the season. No official announcement yet, but by all accounts, he will be a Robin in 2026. I suppose the difference between Charles and Richardson is Charles has got a longer career ahead of him, and he's got an opportunity to really stake a claim for a half-back position. Don't forget, Tyrone May is only contracted for 2 years. He's got a chance to fill that void. Whereas Danny Richardson seems like he was only ever going to be a bit part player if someone became injured.
I'm looking forward to Jack Charles coming, mate. I won't lie to you, to see the growth and progression, because he's got it there in him. Get a pre-season under him and be around the boys and the coaching of Willie Peters. And again, Willie Peters was a very, very good halfback, and to learn off Willie Peters and Mikey Lewis, I think we're going to see a cracking player there. He's going to be in a great environment. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing him, and I hope we get to see him at stages of 2026. The best is to come from Jack Charles for me.
Yeah, another one just like Noah Booth at a great age with so much more to come, and hopefully under Willie Peters we're going to see the best of them. And of course he's Robin. His dad used to play for the Robins. You know, I think his family are all Rovers supporters. So another one who's coming home. You know, following the footsteps of Jack Brown, etc., etc. So yeah, going to be really interesting. That's it, Bazza. No games to look forward to this week, so you can put your feet up, enjoy the playoffs, and then we'll be going full tilt next week as we preview that huge encounter that's going to take place a week on Saturday at Craven Park. Make sure you've got your tickets. They're on general sale now, so it's a great opportunity. If you've not been fortunate enough to get there, there's a waiting list for season tickets at the moment. So this proves another great opportunity to get to the game when maybe you might not have otherwise done so. And then we'll see what happens over the course of the week. I'm sure it's going to be interesting, Bazza. Thank you for your contribution once again. This has been the Robin Pod Weekly. But for now, live, love, laugh and be happy.
Rovers fight as one for every goal and try. Since '85 we've stood our ground, though trophies passed us by. From Craven Park to Wembley Way, with each toe grip we fight. Now we rise, our heads held high, proudly wearing the red and white.
The Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre. Make them your first and only choice for a vast array of vehicle services. They are reputable East Hull-based car specialists and dedicated to providing quality services at reasonable prices. And don't forget, they are trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Find them at 146 Leeds Road and ask them about the exclusive discount they offer Hull KR Rovers Forever members.